Hi, crew! I'm so excited to get started with our reading lesson today. Let's begin by reading our learning targets. Remember, learning targets help us know what it is we will get to know how to do or do better by the end of a lesson. We have 2 targets today for everybody. The first learning target in purple says, I can identify the characters and setting of a story. Remember, when we identify something, we name it. So we're going to name the characters and the setting. Let's stop for a minute and ask, what does it mean when we say characters? Let's pause the video. Very good. Characters are who or what the story is about. We also have to identify the setting. Who remembers what we mean by the setting of a story? Let's pause the video to talk. Excellent. The setting of a story tells where the story takes place and when the story takes place. So today we're going to identify who's in the story and where it takes place. We're also going to do the second target here. This target says, I can put the events of the story in order. So we're going to take the events, that's what happens in the story, and we're going to make sure that we put them in the correct order. That means what happens first, what happens second, what happens third, what happens fourth, and make sure that we know exactly the order that the story takes place. Let's begin our lesson. As we said, one of the things we're going to be identifying today are the characters. Characters are who or what the story is about, like the worm from Diary of a Worm, or the spider from Diary of a Spider, or Bailey, the dog, from the story called Bailey. Stories also have settings. Settings tell where and when a story takes place, such as daytime at the park, or summertime at the beach, winter in the mountains, or winter in the forest, or even one summer day at the farm. So settings tell where and some information about when. Events. Events are what happen in the story. Some events take place at the beginning. Some events take place in the middle of the story, and some events take place at the very end of the story. So if you think about an apple, when you first get an apple at the beginning, you have the whole apple. As you eat it into the middle of the story, you would have half of your apple left, and by the end of the story, when the story is almost finished, your apple's all gone. We're going to read a story today called Corduroy's Christmas. Take a look at the cover of the story. What do you think the story is going to be about? Let's pause. Yes, the story is probably going to be about a bear named Corduroy and what happens at Christmas. Maybe he gets a bunch of gifts, or he gives away a bunch of gifts. The author of the story is Don Freeman, and the pictures, the illustrator, is Lisa McHugh. Let's go ahead and listen to our story. Remember, we're listening for the characters, the setting, and the events.
Corduroy's Christmas by Don Freeman. Corduroy loves Christmas. There are so many things to do. First, Corduroy trims his Christmas tree. But where is the angel for the top of the tree? Corduroy bakes cookies for all of his friends. There are bells, angels, Santas, and Christmas trees. This batch is done. Better take them out of the oven, Corduroy.
So I want you to think for a minute, who is the character in the story and what's the setting? Let's pause to see if anyone knows. Great answers. Let's keep reading.
Now it's time to wrap the presents. Corduroy gets out the wrapping paper, tape, ribbons, and scissors. Oops, where is Corduroy? Corduroy has written his letter to Santa. He is going to send it to the North Pole. Look, outside it has started to snow.
Let's pause there. Corduroy has done a bunch of things in the story so far. What are some of the things that he's done? Let's pause. Yes, he's trimmed his tree, he's baked cookies, and he's wrapped gifts. Now he's writing a letter to Santa Claus.
Corduroy and his friends are going caroling, but which one is Corduroy? It's Christmas Eve. Corduroy has hung up his stocking and left a note for Santa. Now he is fast asleep. Listen, is that someone on the roof?
Who do you think might be on the roof? Let's pause. Good clues if it's Christmas time, and based on what you know, it might be Santa.
It's Christmas morning. Look at all the presents Santa brought for Corduroy. Merry Christmas, Corduroy. The end.
Awesome story. So it was pretty simple who the character was in the story and where the setting was or where Corduroy was in the time of the year. I would like you to think about who was in the story, where was that character, and what time of year was it. That will name the character and the setting. Let's pause to see who knows those questions. Answers to that question. Very good. Corduroy was the character. The setting was his house, and it was Christmas time. Now we're going to go into Seesaw, and you're going to put the events in order. You're going to think back to all the things Corduroy did, and you're going to put them in order. Let me show you what it looks like. In Seesaw, you're going to go ahead and find your activities. You're going to find an activity called Corduroy's Christmas Story Sequence. Here's the story. You can press the link if you want to hear the story again if you forgot the order of the events. Otherwise, you're going to move these pictures using your hand tool into the correct boxes. What happened first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh. I will give you a clue. What I usually do is put in the first thing that happened and the last thing that happened. So I want you to think about what was the first thing that happened. Find that picture and put it in box 1. Then, what was the last thing that happened? And put it in box 7. Then you'll just have the 5 other events to think about. What happened first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. When you're done, check to make sure. Remember, if you need to go back and listen to the story again, it's available to you. When you're all done, tap your green check and send it to me. I know you're going to do a great job.